it really boils down, the important one is this one, understanding how to deal with cloud concerns in your situation. Every situation is different, and cloud is not right for every situation or every business. So this session will help give you the tools to ask yourselves and the rest of your business, is this something that can or should work for us? Okay? Like I said, having questions to ask of the service provider, to ask of the business, these all matter. They make a huge difference in deciding if it's right for you. So, what exactly is cloud computing? I mean, everybody's heard the term, but what exactly does it mean? Before we get to that, I want to tell you a little story about a gentleman named Henry Burden. Now, Burden was a Scottish gentleman, moved to America around 1840. And around 1850, he started putting out a whole bunch of patents. This is one of them. It was one of the most massive water wheels that had ever been put into production anywhere in North America. This thing measured 22 feet wide and 65 feet high. And it generated over 500 horsepower worth of energy. And he used it, Burden Metalworks used the power of this water wheel to make horseshoes. Okay? Really simple, completely non-technical, just horseshoes. He also made iron spikes, had a whole ironworks company. And what happened is a whole bunch of smaller manufacturers ended up closing. Well, why? Because they couldn't generate the same sort of efficiencies that Burden Ironworks could using this water wheel. They didn't have the power, so they didn't have the efficiencies. And so pretty soon it got to a point where the companies that wanted to compete against Burden Ironworks, they had to generate their own power. So it got to the point through the mid and late 19th century that manufacturing meant that you were also in the power production business. It didn't matter what you were producing. It didn't matter if it was horseshoes or carriage wheels or widgets or farming equipment. You were in the manufacturing business, but you were also in the power production business. Okay? And then somebody came along, some really bright person came along and said, wait a second. What if you didn't have to generate power to be in the manufacturing business? What if we generated the power and we sold it to you and you only pay for what you use? Utility or power is a utility, right? Pretty straightforward. And we ended up with the model that we have now. Telephone as a utility, power, gas, and so on and so forth. This was the precursor to the utilities industry. Burden's wheel started the whole thing. His was the first really mass-scale implementation of power generation, and it was one of the last. So starting around the turn of the 20th century, the utilities came into being, and there was a lot more power was being generated and sold. Well, now at the start of the 21st century, computing power has kind of reached the same stage. Computers, internet, they can be thought of as utilities. There used to be a point where everybody, if they wanted to have a really good computer infrastructure, they had to have it in-house. But that's not the case anymore. And that is what cloud is about. So as we go forward, I'd like you to think about cloud computing as being more of a utility than kind of an end unto itself. It's a consume-on-demand commodity.